All right, welcome to our second interview of the EIVA Media Day. Here we have our representatives from Charleston. You guys go ahead and introduce yourselves.
All right. Thanks for having me. I'm Joonatan Salpakaric. I'm a senior outside from Finland. And yeah, thank you for having me. Awesome. Robert Poole, head coach now, second year for the University of Charleston men's program, originally from Enfield, England. Lucky enough, I actually played in the NCAA back when I was a little bit younger. I still feel like I'm just about on the border of a young sort of head coach. So yeah, awesome to be on the show and really appreciate the fact that you're investing in men's volleyball. I think it's an awesome opportunity for us to grow. And, the EIVA is always looking to try and grow and see how we can develop the boys' game.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Well, Coach Poole, I'm going to start with you. Like you said, this is your second year at the helm at Charleston. What have you learned through your last year that you're taking into this year? And what about the time in the EIVA, has helped with this program's efforts to be a competitive team this season?
What have I learned? Great question. I think for me is that, I come in, I love to be organized. I love to have everything right. I love everything to go perfect. As these guys will know, nothing ever goes perfectly as much as you want to plan. So I think that's probably the biggest takeaway that I've learned in my 2 years here. And even, the 2 years previously when I was working under Luke as the assistant coach is you're never going to get things perfectly right, but you always have to go in with a plan, a structure, and then be willing to kind of deviate from that plan. In terms of the program, I just think that what we set about trying to do 4 years ago when I first walked in the doors as the assistant for Luke was to try and make this program as professional as possible. That was the kind of goal of what we're trying to achieve with our guys. And I think that's where, the EIVA gives us that nice structure. We're playing a lot of high level opponents. We're playing a lot of programs that have that prestige, have that history. Now we're trying to do that from a perspective of a program that's been around for, 10, 11 or so years. How do we now try and implement something against teams that have, 50 plus years of history, a lot of alumni, and a big name in the game? And I think that's also where the IVA's helped us in terms of bringing us in. A lot of the coaches have really guided me and had those conversations of, these are things that we want to grow on. How can we help you? How can we continue to see the game grow at Charleston? And so that's where the EIVA's also helped us on that journey of trying to take this program to a more professional place in how we structure things and how we try and operate as a staff and also just as a program.
Yeah. Well, if you could go a little bit more into that, because you do have a lot of experience in professional league, in the SV League. What about that experience are you bringing to an NCAA program?
Oh, it was phenomenal. I've been really lucky to work with two high-level professional coaches. So Chris McGowan was my head coach out in Japan at Wolf Dogs when I was coaching professionally in the V League. And just man management, the way that he approached all of the guys that we had to work with. I was 25 at the time, so you can imagine going in as an assistant coach, 25 years old, speaking very little Japanese, working with, at the time, one of the best opposites in the world. I had to learn quickly that, coming in with ideas and just going gung ho straight and really trying to put my mark on something isn't necessarily the way to go. I learned that very quickly in the first, 2 months, especially, there's a lot of little details that you have to understand about Japan and sort of the social norms. So I learned that really, really quickly. And I think that's still a message that we kind of apply today is that even when I'm speaking to guys as a younger head coach, yes, I have a little bit of respect for my time there. But at the same time, what I learned most was that I have to take the time to get to know each and every player. I need to explain to them what we're trying to do. And I think that's something we kind of learned from Chris in those years, that year in Japan, and also, working with Luke, is that having conversations, explaining the why behind what we do is really important. Now, going back to what we do, I mean, our offensive system's based very similarly to the way that we played in Japan. So you've got very, very quick tempo to the pins. We play a very quick back row ball in terms of the pipe or the bick, and then trying to use the middle as well as much as we can. But then we also kind of have a little bit of flair in terms of the European style, which is, how do we move the middle around in different situations, trying to bring in a little bit of European blocking style systems. And so I think that's where Charleston as a program really kind of grows. And I mean, John can probably agree to this as we talk about things that are relevant, not only in the college game right now, but we're always trying to show the guys what we're trying to achieve and hopefully send them off to do in the future as professional players.
And John, you come into the season as one of 18 international players on this Charleston roster. What about such a diverse group of athletes on this Charleston team makes it so dangerous?
I mean, it's always great that we have so many international guys in our team. It kind of makes us unique team in the NCAAs. It gives us opportunity to have different cultures, different play styles, different backgrounds. We have a lot of guys coming, having international junior national team background, bringing it here, mixing it with the American style of volleyball. It's always great. And yeah, I mean, this is my fourth year at UC. We always had a lot of international guys, so I'm kind of used to it by now. So, I mean, every year it's a new experience. So,
Yeah, yeah.
super excited.
What would be your biggest takeaway between American style volleyball and international style volleyball?
From my experience, I would say in the US, it's more physical. People are serving fast, jumping high. But in Europe, at least from my experience, like people are focusing more on the technical and tactical side of the game. Like we are working more on the passing, defense, blocking. And I feel like in the US, a lot of the programs and teams are focusing more on the offensive side of the game and being aggressive from the service line.
Yeah. And Coach Poole, have you tried to find a happy medium between the two with so much international talent on your roster?
I think it's always seeking new ideas. I think that's kind of the aim of the game is the moment you kind of sit and go, okay, we're going to play one style or one system, you kind of forget that at some point someone's going to come up with something new. And I think the game at the moment internationally is so diverse, right? You've got the French, which are playing very smooth, very silky volleyball. You've got the Cubans, which is very physical, high demand. You've got Poland, which is a mix of both. You're starting to see guys throw the ball a little bit more now compared to a traditional team that was a lot more, set high, hit hard. So there's all of these different styles of players. I went and watched Joonatan over the break. My brother's playing in Germany, and we're seeing, their middles. They got 7 foot middle. The guy's crushing balls, but they're moving him around now a little bit more instead of just keeping to the one ball. You've then got how do they implement a pipe in there? It's a little bit loopier tempo. Then you're looking at, okay, setting back row right side, setting, dumping a little bit more. How does the blocks, system shift? And just even then, there's so many different styles of players. Like my brother used to be the heaviest hitter as a junior. Now he's the guy that's just power setting, throwing off the block, chipping high hands. Like there's just so many different options now to score points. And I think that we have to, as coaches, give our players these different options, different ideas. And that's something John does really well is just decision making in play. You have to now give athletes a little bit more freedom and a little bit more expression in the offensive styles, run your system, but then how can I also help players make better decisions? I think that's where we're trying to merge the two styles of games and continuously advance in what we're trying to do here at Charleston.
Yeah. Well, when you talk about a lot about systems, what should fans expect when they tune into a Charleston men's volleyball game? What type of systems? What type of athleticism? What are we expecting?
It's a team here. I think that's the biggest thing that you'll take away is that, even in practices when we're mixing groups and playing with a load of different players, I'm still trying to figure out who my starting group is going to be. I mean, John's in a group of outsides. We've probably got at least five out of our 8 are pushing for that starting role, if not all of them. And we've played this whole fall with every single player playing with every single setter, every single middle. And it still works. Like I can tell you in the fall, one of our games, we hit 450 in one of the sets and we were siding out at 81% side out, 79% side out. It was 81% good pass first ball side out. It was just insane first ball side out numbers. And that's just because we have some sort of structure that our guys can go and play in. And it looks really exciting. Like I'm watching us set BIC a lot more than we did last year, which no change in our sort of coaching philosophy, but it's just how guys are understanding how it plays into the game a little bit more. We're seeing guys take super big swings, and then the next play they're throwing off the block, really making a lot of smart decisions. And I think our middles, just in terms of what they're doing in the game, blocking, IQ, understanding everything that's going on, even offensively, it's just really hard to figure out what we're going to set to the point where I'm still trying to figure out where our setters are going to go half the time. And I think it's just seeing our guys really take this structure, this system, and add their own decision making, add their own little bits of flair into what we're trying to do so that we've grown. And so you walk into the gym and you're seeing guys hit the ball hard and everyone wants to walk into our gym in the fall has kind of said, wow, I'm really excited to see what you do in the season. And I think that's where, we don't have 6'11", 7 foot. We got max at 6'10". So one guy that's kind of above that sort of 6'9" range. But the structure and the quality of what the players do, it's a huge credit to them because having the discipline that we're trying to get in a team and that we're starting to see it's been crazy this fall. And I'm really hoping that they start to put that together as we go into the spring.
And then John, you've got an interesting journey here. You start as a libero, and then you've become a pretty dangerous outside hitter, both from as an attacker and from the service line. What about that transition helped grow your game and really elevated your game as an athlete?
Oh yeah. So about my background, I used to be a leap for pretty much all of my life. I was a leap in the national team. I had a chance to represent my country in the European Championships. I was recruited here to be a leap. And my freshman year, I was playing as a leap, but I also played a few games as a back row, like passing outside. And then now this is gonna be my third year playing as an outside. So yeah, it's been interesting transition. I learned a lot. I'm still learning every day. Like I feel like my biggest strength from being having this libero background and transitioning into being a hitter. I feel like when I was asleep, I could see what's going on the front row from the back row. So I feel like that taught me how to understand the game and see what's working. You kind of get to see the overall like picture what's going on, and I feel like this gave me like good view of what's gonna work if I play as a hitter.
Developing that in-game IQ. Coach, obviously you recruited him to be a lib. What can you say about his journey to where he is now?
I think John's the kind of guy that if I said to him, run through a brick wall, we'd probably get 3 brick walls broken down here in UC. I just think that he's got the brain. And this is what we're always talking about with our athletes is think through the game. So first thing we'll do is we'll do a little bit of short court, and John's probably one of the guys that's always on the top court because again, he's having to always make little bits of decisions. And if he loses, he'll get pretty mad. He's quite calm usually, but you'll see the little bit of, desire, that little bit of drive in John that I think really adds to his game. So if you tell him, hey, I need you to be higher offensively, he's going to work really hard on that aspect of his game. And I think that's what I can attest to pretty much all of our guys in the program is that if I say, hey, can we try and focus on this aspect of your game? This is a little bit of technical information that we need to kind of improve. A lot of them are going to go back, they'll watch film, they'll kind of be really inquisitive of what we're trying to get them to do. And we see that growth as we move through and progress through the weeks and the practices. I think John, as a player, he's always been good at reception, but I challenged him last year to be a little bit more aggressive on high ball situations. Can we really work on accelerating through the ball, hitting those high hands? Next game, I think it was Harvard after we spoke about it. John tries to go high hands, like then adds in different solutions. And so you just see the players that we have really improved the decision-making skills and put themselves into a position where they're not going to stick with their comfort zone. They're going to continue to try and grow as athletes throughout their whole 4 years or however long we may have them. I think that's a real, sign that we've got a good group, a good core of players that want to be good volleyball players and not just be successful right here, right now.
Obviously, you have the athletes sitting next to you, but what other players on Charleston should we be looking out for this year?
All 25. If I'm being really honest with you, it could be any of our 25 guys. The one that maybe isn't is Pavle, just because he's coming back from ACL surgery. That's probably the one guy I'd say, hey, maybe he needs a few more weeks. But in all honesty, I've seen some players where, we walked in the first day and I went, okay, we're going to need a little bit of development time. All of a sudden now these players are now pushing and saying, hey, I'm here. I want to play. I want to try and add something to this team. And so I think that's been a really positive sign. But the way that they've done it is also really big. So not only, a lot of times when you got a lot of guys that are in this place where I could be playing, it could be really detrimental to the squad in terms of, oh, I want to play, so I'm going to put my teammate down. Here, we're starting to see a lot more of, I'm going to bring players along with me. And that's also a message that we're trying to preach is that we can only be as good as every single player in our roster. If we're good for all 8 of our outsides, because that's one of the squads that we have, we could put in anyone when there's an injury. Maybe you have a bad day. We've got a group of finishers that can go in and finish off a match when it's tight because we're tired. Or on the second day, maybe if we've done a 5-setter, I've now got 2 fresh outsides, 2 fresh middles. I got 1 right side. I got, a different group of players that are feeling fresh but are playing at the same level. We've got all of these different options. And so, I really couldn't tell you who's going to be the guy to watch because I could give you pretty much 25 names or 24 names right now, obviously. And every single one of them does something different, but does what they, runs their strengths pretty well and pretty fluidly that they can fit into our system. And I don't feel like we drop our level.
Looking at your roster, looking at the athletes that you maintain, the athletes that you bring in, there seems to be this energy around Charleston this year in the EIVA where there's a little bit of unknown, a little bit of a dark horse energy. What is different about this season for Charleston where you start 5th in the rankings, but I just feel like that it's gonna creep higher and higher throughout the season. What's different about this team this year?
I don't think there's anything different. What I think it is I think that we're really starting to learn how to be disciplined and how to play for each other. I think, when we first started this journey, for me, it started 4 or 5 years ago when Luke walked in the door here at Charleston. We set about trying to make this a professional program in terms of the way that we play and also the way that we try to, uphold ourselves. So the uniforms that we have, right? They look really professional. They look as they are from Poland at that high sort of level, right? We've got nice polos. We're trying to make sure that we're looking like that professional unit and that we respect the name on the badge more than the name on the back. And this group of guys have really taken to that because my challenge to them is, hey, I want us to be executing our system flawlessly. I want you to know at any point in time where you need to be on the court. And so, we had moments in Queens in the preseason where we weren't doing that. And the guys looked at it and they could have gone 2 ways. They could have said, we're not good enough. But they realized from the messages that we had was that we need to be a little bit more disciplined. We need to work with each other a little bit more. And I think that added to just their IQ and just their understanding of the game and their hunger to win has really elevated us to be able to say, hey, this year, it really feels like we're going to do something that's going to be, hopefully we're in the mix for that EIVA final match and looking to go to the NCAAs. That's always been the goal. But I think that this group have kind of taken that and said, okay, what do we need to do to get there? Right? We have one goal in volleyball, and that is, will it take us to the NCAA tournament? That's the one goal that we have as a program that we came up with. And then they understand how and why and what we need to do to get to that goal. And they're willing to pursue that with any risk that might come with.
John, as one of the players, you hear the message of, getting to that NCAA tournament, winning the EIVA. You've been here for 4 years. What is the difference this year?
Yeah, like Coach Rob just said, I think this group is special. I feel like this team is more open-minded. And I feel like last year was kind of learning experience for us. It took some time for us to get used to the new playing style, play the fast tempo to the pins, all these blocking systems. And you could see last season when we started to execute this system, we got some big upsets and we proved that we can beat any team in NCAA when we play at our best. So I feel like this year it's about finding the system again and even improving it and finding the consistency because like on a good day, we can beat any team in NCAA. But on a bad day, we can also lose to anyone. So I feel like it's all about finding the consistency. And I feel like this group can really do something special this year.
Well, to wrap us up, what is something that you are most looking forward to in this 2026 season? Obviously, I mean, you can have every game circled on the schedule, but anything specific that you are looking forward to once this 2026 season gets underway?
I mean, for me, it's the first game. It's always like I've been waiting for this moment for so long. I'm super excited. I mean, the first game is always nice. And then obviously all the conference games, we have great conference, a lot of competition. Anyone can beat anyone on any given night. So it's going to be great.
I think, for me, if it's emotional sort of investment, being able to go to UMO would be lovely to kind of go back to where I started my college career. But I think if, in all honesty, the way that we operate in the group that we have, like every single day we have in the gym is a blessing, really. The fact that we get to train, like I'm excited. We start training in 2 days, and I can't wait to get in that gym the first day, and just every single day it's enjoyable, it's fun. Like we love what we do, and I think that's a huge part of it. And going back to setting ourselves goals, the biggest goal for us is playing the best version of volleyball that we can. And I think that's what we always look forward to, is seeing that come to fruition, seeing if we can hold that little bit of discipline, that little bit of desire, that little bit of drive, and that little bit of grit, all of that combination with our IQ. The moment that we see that in a game, any game becomes exciting because it just feels fluid. All of the guys love playing, they love winning, and we know that that's what's going to try and get us to that target. So I'm always excited for conference games. I'm excited for any single time we get to represent the program. And just any time I get to work with these guys, because in all honesty, I think there's a lot of family feeling about the program, and I'm super excited just to get to work with them every single day, and just thankful that we have the staff here that we do that continue to support us as a program.
Well, I'm super excited to watch you guys play this season. I feel like there's something special going over there in Charleston. But with that, I really appreciate you guys taking the time to come on and give us a little sneak peek on what's going on. And I look forward to hopefully making out to a couple games this season. So thank you guys for coming on.
We'd love to have you. Really appreciate the time as well.
Yeah.
All right.
Thanks for joining us and Happy New Year's.
Yeah, happy New Year's, guys. Take it easy.